So today we're going to take a look at the GameLink Professional Remote Control. Now you may already be familiar with the GameLink Lite. We have sold so many of these units. It's a fun remote control, easy to set up a flush sequence, and more importantly it's reliable. But we wanted to go further than what we actually can offer on this little remote control, so we produced the GameLink Professional. So let's take a closer look and see just what these remote controls are all about. So first and foremost, there is a 4-channel option and there's an 8-channel option. So we'll just recap over the differences between these models. Now the 4-channel option has an all button, so you can fire all 4 traps at the same time, but other than that they're identical. Same features, same LiPo battery rechargeable system, same display, same legend, same layout. So we'll pop this one to the side and we'll do the demonstration today using the 8-channel controller and of course the GameLink Lite. So the Lite can go aside. If you're not familiar with the features of the Lite, it might be worth checking out the other video on our YouTube channel just to see what features this can do compared to the Professional. We're greeted with GameLink Pro on the screen as it fires up before showing us the default information on the screen, in which case here is clays 5, speed 2, flurries 1, which means that the flush controller would fire 5 clays 2 seconds apart and 1 at a time. And all of these settings can be tuned to the scenario you're looking to do very precisely. So if we wanted to increase the numbers of clays in our flush sequence, we'd hold down the clays button and then press 1 and 3, which has the arrows next to them, to go either up or down. So we'll move this up to say 100. Now how often do we want those clays to fire? Well, at the moment it's 2 seconds. You can set that anywhere up to 60 seconds, which might sound quite excessive, but let me show you something. So if we hold down the speed button to change the speed and we put the arrow, let's just say 30 seconds in total. So you think, well, why would I want it to be 30 seconds? Well, simple really. If you hold down the speed button and press this question mark key by number 8, you can see the icon now has changed to a star. Now this means that the speed has gone into random mode, so it might fire at any time up to 30 seconds. So if you're trying to simulate a game day and you're standing out in the field talking to your buddies, you might want to put the time on random so you don't really know when those clays are going to come over the horizon. So that's a brilliant way of randomizing the patterns you receive. But if you want something a little bit more, creating a barrage of clays in the sky because you're putting on a simulated game day, you might just want to leave the timer off and set that down to a low value, such as perhaps 2 seconds. 2 seconds sounds good. So we'll leave that down there. So going on from there, we have the flurry control, which obviously controls how many clays it fires at the same time. Now you can set this up to however many traps is programmed into the remote control. At the moment I just have a few, so it'll go up to 3. Yep, that's the size it will go, and we'll add some more receivers so we can do some demonstrations, and I'll also show you how to pair the remote controls to the receivers yourself. So the flurry, the same as speed, can also be put into random by holding down the flurry key and pressing the question mark key. And now we have the star to say that it may fire 3 clays, it may fire 2 or 1. Or, with that off, then it will fire 3 clays every time. And now that's one of the key differences between the GameLink Lite, because this is a random controller. It will always be in that mode and it will choose if it's going to fire 3 or 2 or 1. You don't have the option to lock it in, so it just fires wave after wave after wave, which is very important if you're trying to put on a duck simulation or other types of game which fly a lot less sporadically than, say, pigeons. So that is a key feature as an upgrade. And also with the time, with the GameLink Lite, you've got 3, 5, 7 or a random between those times, whereas with this one it's by the second right up to 60. Clay limitations of the GameLink Lite, you can have 25, 50, 75 or 100 clays. This one will go up to 1,000 in increments of 5, so you can just dial in the number you want, you're good to go. So let's pair a receiver to this now so you can see how the units are actually programmed. And I should have one just down here. Here's one I prepared earlier. Doesn't fall off the table. Good, okay. So to put these remote controls into programming mode, you hold down the plays and the flurry key combined. So on the screen it's asked you to select the channel you wish to program. So we're going to select 4. And now it's asked you to swipe the magnet across the top of the receiver. So we just give that a wave across the top. And the remote control will beep to confirm that it's now programmed. So one last feature to mention of this remote control is the trophy icon you can see down here hiding by the number 7, which locks in the flush sequence. And to enable this we hold down the clays button and tap that button, and you'll see the C has now changed to an L, which means it has locked the clay pattern in. So every time we start this flush sequence now, we will receive the same pattern. So if you want to put some competitions on and to ensure the shooters receive the same sequence of clays, you just enable that, and then everyone gets a fair chance at coming out on top. So for now, we'll turn that off, we'll set up some lights, and we'll do a few demonstrations of this controller actually running. So I apologise in advance that it will be difficult to see the LCD display due to the studio lighting, but I hope on a previous part of the video we gave you a good overall of the screen and the buttons and how the actual menu system works on this remote control. This one is purely a demonstration, just showing off some of the different flush sequences as we go through. And let's start by just saying that this, while it isn't running an actual game sequence, it's brilliant just as an 8-channel sporting controller. As you can see, you can just push the buttons and fire the clays on the fly. Just choose what you want there, that's fine. So let's start with some flush sequences. So we'll just stick the clays, at the moment they're on 100, I think that's fine. They're 2 seconds apart, which is fine. We'll change it to 3 seconds. And a flurry of 8. So every time this fires 3 seconds apart, 8 clays will fire into the sky. So let's start that off now. Now what you might notice with this, there's a slight delay between each one lighting up, but the order is actually changing despite the fact there's 8 clays, and we do this so the pattern in the sky is a little bit varied. When we found that if you fired 8 clays exactly at the same time, they sort of come as a clump towards the line, albeit maybe a little bit spread out. This way it's a little bit more natural, they're a little bit more staggered in the sky. Gives for a great shooting experience. Now on the screen of the controller we might just catch it in time, we have a count up which shows you how many clays of the sequence is actually fired and clears off once the system has actually finished doing its run. So that was 8 at a time, so what if you wanted to turn that down a bit? Okay, let's go for 4, and in this instance I'm going to turn the clays down because obviously it will take twice as long. So we'll run that again. So now it will randomly choose 4 targets from the selection of 8 which is programmed into the remote control. As you can see, you've got the counter on the screen now just going up. And here's the 50. Okay, so let's take the flurry now down to, maybe you're just shooting by yourself, so we'll set that on 2, and we will set the clays all the way down to 10, just because, you know, we don't want to be watching this all day. Start the flush sequence. So what else can we do with this remote control? Obviously the flurry is self-explanatory, as is the speed and the clays. So what if we wanted to put on a competition for some shooters? So for the purposes of the video demonstration, we'll turn this down to 10 clays. And the speed we will leave on 2 seconds. But obviously you would have to turn that up to give everyone a chance to reload, and the flurry will have 2 at a time. So we'll hold down plays and press the 7 button, and that will change the C to an L, which means that the flush pattern is now locked in, and we will receive the same flush pattern every time we start the flush sequence. So the first 2 to appear is this one and this one. Okay, so let's go again. And for good measure, let's go one more time. As you can see, every time the same sequence will fire. So that's it for this controller. I think that about covers everything. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I think this is a fantastic bit of kit, especially with this big tough rubber case on it. It's water resistant. You're okay to take this out in the rain. It won't do any harm to the front of it. Try not to get the thing soaked, but even so, I just can't see it causing any problems. But yeah, thanks for looking, and we hope to hear from you soon.